Hey guys, what's up? This is Jay, the drummer for Core Device. What you just heard was the opening fill section in our song Spiritual off the What I've Become album. You can go to coredevice.com, check us out, you get the album, you can also get our other album, Our Fellowship Eternal. Now what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to break down that opening fill section into 3 separate parts. I'm going to explain them, play them up to speed, and then slow them down so you get a better idea of how they're played. And then by the end I'm going to loop everything together and play through the section so you'd be able to make it through the section yourself. Now that first fill is a steady 16th note pattern on the snare drum with specific accents coinciding with the snare drum and bass drum that complement the guitar. The rest of the snare drum pattern is kind of played like ghost notes, but not so light. Fuck your mother in the ass. Click! Alright guys, so that first section is played straight 16th notes on the snare drum, kind of like ghost notes but not as soft. Now there's guitar accents that are also accented on the snare drum with the kick drum. Those groupings are going to be 2 16th notes, an 8th note tied to 2 16th notes, and then 8th note tied to 2 16th notes, followed by an 8th note depending on how you write it with rests and on sheet music. After that there's a crescendo that leads into the next part. Now this part repeats twice, so after the first crescendo you're going to go back to the beginning and play the same thing again. And then after your second crescendo leads to the next part, which I'll get to after this demonstration. Okay, now a little bit slower. Alright guys, so hopefully you got something out of the first fill section. The next one is pretty much straight 16th notes between your hands and your feet at certain parts that go with the guitar rhythm. Your first hit is with your cymbal and your kick drum. Your following 3 16th notes are on your first tom, and then followed by 2 16th notes on your kick drum. Your next downbeat is also on your kick drum, so there's a grouping of 3. By the time you get in the middle, there's only 4 16th notes that kind of cut it short, and then you're back to like the first half of the fill to follow through with everything. I'm going to show you that now, and here we go. Alright guys, now the second section is the one that goes around the toms with the weird 3 pattern on the feet. Ready? Okay, a little bit slower now. Alright guys, so now it's time for the final and third fill of the intro section. It's consisted of what I like to call the 2-4-6 pattern. It's decided by whether you play 2, 4, or 6 on your hands, which either grouping is always going to be followed by 2 on your feet, at least for this scenario. It starts off with a grouping of 4, then another 4, and then a 2, and then that repeats. And then after you go around the second time, then it's 2 groupings of 2 on your snare drum, and then like a sloppy triplet grouping of 4 to fit in a space of 2. It kind of like a just to give it that drop feel. Okay, the final and third fill for this composition, if you will, is here we go. Okay, let's do that a little bit slower. Alright guys, so that was the third and final section to the opening fill. Now what I'm going to do for you is piece everything together and play it up to speed so you can just see how to make it through that part. Check us out at coredevice.com. Click on Contact Us if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can and answer you if I can. Other than that, hope you enjoyed this, got something out of this video, and get your pull. That is the fill section of Spiritual. Visit coredevice.com, and I'll see you guys later.